Hello and welcome. This is the Astrology of the Week Ahead podcast. I'm your host, your astro bestie, Chani Nicholas. Okay, look, this is the deal. We are in between eclipses. Last week, we just had an eclipse, the first one in Pisces near the North Node that we've had in like a couple of decades. So a whole new story opened up. Next week, we have the very last eclipse in Libra near the South Node that we'll have for a couple of decades. So we're closing up a story. This week, we are reflecting on the openings and we're reflecting on what is closing. So there's this big transitional type of feel to this moment's astrology, not just this week, but if we stretch our awareness out a couple weeks ago, really the beginning of Virgo season, and then really to the end of Libra season, this like chunk of time as the sun makes one eclipse during its travels through Virgo, and then the other eclipse during its travels through Libra. Eclipse season feels a little longer. And we know that we're closing something up. We're not going to have any more eclipses in the part of our chart that contains Libra, and we're not going to have any more eclipses with this theme in it. And these eclipses have been really challenging. The first eclipse that we had in Libra near the South Node was in October of 2023. So I don't need to articulate all the ways in which that was the beginning of a devastating genocide, a really, really, really challenging time. Where I'm standing right now, I'm standing in August of 2024. That is still going. I hope that by the time you listen to this reading and by the time the week of September 23rd rolls around, that there is a ceasefire, that there is something that has interrupted the horrors of this absolute failure of humanity. So we can work towards that. We can hope for that. We can plan towards that. We can act towards that. I certainly am in every way that I can here in this moment. And just to say, on a global scale, that was the beginning of eclipses in Libra. This is the end of eclipses in Libra. That's just 1 year. Usually we'll see eclipses roll out over the span of a couple of years, a year and a half to 2 years. But these eclipses in Libra are a little shorter span of time. So we're circling back to that moment. And we all know that. We don't need the eclipses to tell us. We all are feeling the, I think, somatic feeling of coming back to this time of year because of what ensued last year and what has happened since then. And so there is a memory in the body. Obviously, I'm not saying that everything's in the past. Everything, again, where I'm standing is still very much ongoing. And the initiation of all of it began about a year ago. And by the time we get to next week's eclipse, it's like that is that series of eclipses. It's the last one. So how has it changed our civic engagement? How has the realization that our tax dollars have gone to fund a genocide? I'm talking very, very American-centric right now. Please forgive me, but we're not the only country who has aided and abetted this horror. So also there's that. But what have we learned about protesting? What have we learned about connecting to one another? What have we learned about the strength of our communities? What have we learned about making sure that we are moving towards an understanding of solidarity and what we can actually get accomplished when we come together, which is a very Libran kind of thing, right? Libra is relationships, the scales of justice. And so, therefore, it is hopefully going to bring about liberation, because if there's justice, then maybe there could actually be some kind of sense of liberation or a realization of it. And then also we might get to something that feels like peace, but really we need the structural equity in place the structures that we live within to be equitable and fair and just, for starters. So with South Node eclipses in Libra, wow, I'm really going on about this. It's not even the South Node eclipse in Libra. It's next week, but an important thing happens this week around it. What happens with the South Node is we get an emptying out or a cleansing out or a release of something. Now, it might have felt, and it has been, a destabilization in terms of how we understand justice and like how can something so wrong happen? How can there be so much violence in the world and it be funded and it be glorified and it be all of the things? So there's been this need to rebalance our understanding, again, rebalance our engagement, rebalance our awareness of what actually brings about any kind of justice. So that's just the vibe that we're in. We're back in Libra season. And this week, at the very end of the week, the sun makes a conjunction with the South Node with Mercury in tow. So this whole week feels like we're building up towards a very important moment that then just gets further articulated next week. So I said that this was a week in between eclipses, but I'm going to say by Sunday, it feels like we're right in eclipses. Like we're in it. The sun and Mercury are shining a spotlight and translating the impact of eclipses because they'll be on the South Node, which is the point where eclipses occur when there's a fuller new moon there. And that's exactly where the eclipse is going to happen on October 2nd. So we're just rolling right into it. I do think, though, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we have maybe a little bit of a break. Tuesday, we've got Mercury making a trine to Uranus. It's really good for innovative conversations and ideas and for being able to translate what is experimental, what is out of the box, what is exciting, and what is loud and needs to be said, but in a very helpful and easeful kind of way. Like it's disturbing the peace, but in kind of like a fun way, in a productive way. Wednesday, there's a mix of situations. Mercury makes an opposition to Neptune. Something goes awry. Some kind of details get missed. It's a moment, like a very small moment of Mercury retrograde kind of feeling. Like, wait, what? Where am I? What happened with this? Why is everything so messy? And then Mercury quickly goes on to trine Pluto, which is a really deep and cathartic conversation. Mercury is then translating something to do with power and alchemy and transforming one thing into another in a really valuable and helpful and, again, practical way. Then on Thursday, Mercury moves into Libra, the sign where the eclipse is going to happen in a couple days. And then by Sunday, Mercury and the Sun and the South Node all come together. And they are talking again about what happened last October, what's happened since, what's going to happen at the eclipse in a couple of days. They're talking about eclipses. Mercury is translating something about the nature of the shadow that we are encountering. It's translating something about the change that's about to happen, about the ending, the closure. Like, okay, we're closing this thing up. We are wrapping this thing up. There is an ending that we're talking about. And there's a release of some important, maybe even like startling information in a way, because the nodes are a place where the light flickers. So it could be even like glitchy communication, but it's potent. It's like blasting, but it's not steady. So I'll be interested to see what kind of news happens on Sunday. Also on Sunday, Mars makes a trine to Saturn, which is really nice. Hey, it's helpful. Okay, we'll take it. It's like a flowing kind of help. Mars is in Cancer right now. Saturn is in Pisces. They're both water signs. So it's a helpful construction for it's like riverbanks for the waters of our emotion to flow through. And there's a determination to this energy. So it's like, okay, eclipses are happening. This is serious business. Eclipse season is serious business. Last week's eclipse was a little wobbly because it's in Pisces and that goes in every direction, and it was right by Neptune. So that's just can get very diluted and strange and weird and also wonderful and fantastical and very escapist. Again, I don't know what happened during that eclipse because I'm in the past. So you can tell me, I can tell me. But it wasn't as like focused, right? That eclipse is very like dispersed in energy. But this one, because it's happening in Libra, it's happening in a cardinal sign, there's a lot more energy to it because cardinal signs begin things. They change the seasons. They make a really swift shift. So there's a lot of energy in whatever happens in a cardinal sign. And with it happening so close to the node and with Mercury right there, there's a very important statement. Something is being said, something is being translated, something is being given to us that we really need to listen to and understand. And I do think it is about the scales of justice. Maybe it's some kind of ruling on something. Maybe it's some kind of announcement about what would be fair, what would be equitable, what needs to shift in order for this thing to happen. And then again, because we're moving into next week's last eclipse in Libra, there is some kind of wrap up, there is some kind of closure. And hopefully, we've learned a great many things and we have come together in ways that are really important and necessary at this time. Because no matter who is in power, no matter what is going on, our relationship to each other and to this world and to this earth and to this life that we're living is the most important thing. No one is coming to save us. Our connection to each other and to our life is what will build the safety nets that we need, no matter what is going on. And I think that's become maybe more apparent than ever. So I'm sending you a lot of love. Again, by Sunday, we're like in it. We're back in the next eclipse, and the shakiness and the kind of energetic wobbliness, instability of it, the fits and starts of the energy, because eclipses are a time where the light goes out. So energetically, things, are a little rocky. Do the things that you need to do to ground. Get really focused in this moment. And also rest when you can, because the energy is so unstable. We want to make sure that those power surges that come don't fry our system. I'm glad that Mars is trining Saturn though, because that's a helpful little signature in terms of not burning out. Y'all, thank you. Thank you so much for leaving us reviews in the App Store. I know it takes your precious time and energy to do so, and I want you to know that it really is so important for us as a company, but also as a team. It's great that people know that you like the app, but it's also great that the whole team, the team here at the Chani app, gets to read these because we read them all. They get passed around in a little email on Fridays, and it lifts our spirits and it reminds us of why we do this work. I wanted to leave you with this review called, "I love this app. I'm so grateful to have found Chani's work and this app. It supplements the spiritual rituals I've already had in place and makes me feel so enriched and embodied. Working with this app for the last few years has truly been life-changing. Thank you, Chani and team." Okay, y'all. Sending you so much love. Listen in to what your intuition tells you, especially Sunday, Monday. Listen to the literal messages you get. Listen to the most important conversations, the things that pique your interest and you have the little hairs on your arms stand up and you're like, oh, this is information I need to hear. Sunday and Monday during the Cazimi, Mercury entering the heart of the sun with the node there, the south node there, it's just a wild piece of astrology. We're going to get the information that we need. And we're going to also be probably channeling a lot too in our lives. So check out where this is happening for you. Check out your reading, your weekly reading for your sign in the Chani app. And I'll see you back here next week and we'll talk about that last eclipse in Libra. All right. Bye for now.